Sharpe is always upset when somebody's saying that he's gay.
She was hurt that after 20 plus years of being my stylist, that I had gone outside to hire someone else.
I got the best stylist in the world, not the United States, the entire world. Of 8 billion people, I got number one. And can't nobody stop us.
You're not gonna make me look like a damn fool. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big of a star you are. You're not about to make me look like a fool.
If you want to keep your personal life private, then don't drop hints and expect people to stay silent. But what you definitely can't do is play innocent while making someone else look like a clown. That's what this is really about. Because no matter how famous you are, the truth doesn't just vanish. And now, Shannon Sharpe, known for his hot takes and louder-than-life fits, is being dragged into a firestorm that's a lot less about football and a lot more about what was going on off the field. At the center of it all, his former stylist, Russell Hollywood Simpson. This isn't just about clothes anymore. This man is dropping cryptic receipts, teasing explosive secrets, and accusing Shannon of trying to bury him in silence. The whispers aren't new, but what's unfolding now? It's the loudest they've ever been. Let's rewind. Shannon was trending not for a sports take or a viral debate. This time, it was courtside photos with Hollywood that caught the internet's eye. Not once, multiple times. Lakers games, red carpet events, you name it. They were seen everywhere together. And while some chalked it up to a client-stylist friendship, others weren't buying it, especially considering Hollywood's past connection to another NFL name, Carrie Rhodes, that only fanned the flames of speculation. The public started talking loudly. Questions about Shannon's sexuality flooded social media, and that's when things turned personal, because for years, there have been rumors about Shannon playing both sides behind the scenes. Now, with this stylist front and center, the whispers got louder. And Shannon? He didn't take it well. Even comedian Mike Epps jumped into the chaos, joking about Shannon being on the down low.
I said, no, Medea, I ain't gonna. So you can sit across from me and look at my balls. I'm sitting down, nigga. Thought he was gonna attack Cat. That nigga shit is called Shay Shay.
According to reports, Shannon invited Epps onto his show Club Shay Shay, and Epps declined with a not-so-subtle jab, saying he wasn't about to sit across from Shannon and have him staring at his crotch. That wasn't just a joke, that was fuel on an already blazing fire. Shannon snapped. On an episode of his Nightcap podcast with Chad Johnson, he clapped back hard. He warned Epps to keep his name out of his mouth or he'd release their DMs. Shannon insisted he never invited Epps in the first place and accused him of lying for laughs. "Say my name again and I'm putting the DMs out," he warned. He didn't shy away from the rumors entirely, claiming he didn't care if people thought he was gay. But what he did care about was being lied on. To fans, though, it was deeper than that. It wasn't just a man defending his name. It was someone trying desperately to control a narrative slipping out of his hands. Because the timeline, the decisions, the way he suddenly fired Hollywood after the rumors picked up, it all looked a little too calculated. Shannon didn't just fire Hollywood. He tried to erase him, claimed he never really styled him, that all the fits people loved were pre-assembled looks from his longtime stylist, Shelley Davis, that he didn't buy anything new, that Hollywood just rearranged old pieces. And that hit Hollywood hard. Hollywood wasn't just hurt, he was pissed. And instead of launching a full-on attack, he started slowly dripping out receipts, strategic, subtle, but clear enough to shake things up. He posted clips showing Shannon praising him publicly. In one video, Shannon holds up a mystery box and grins like a kid on Christmas, saying he doesn't even need to open it because he already knows Hollywood is about to make him look like a king. Not just the best stylist in the US, the best in the entire world. "Nobody can stop us," Shannon said. Shay Sharpe and Hollywood, a dynamic duo. That's not something you say about someone who just rearranged your closet.
I don't know what's in this box. I'm not gonna open it until Hollywood gets here. But whatever it is in this box, I already know he gonna make me look fly in it. I got the best stylist in the world, not the United States, the entire world. Of 8 billion people, I got number one. And can't nobody stop us. Shay Sharpe and Hollywood, a dynamic duo that can't be stopped. Run tell that.
Hollywood didn't stop there. He dropped another video with the caption, "Let's be clear, This man right here is killing the game. It wasn't just a thank you, it was a reminder that while Shannon was trying to rewrite the past, the internet had receipts. Hollywood had proof that he was more than just a hired hand. He was a partner in Shannon's public image, and maybe more behind the scenes. But why the sudden shift? Why did Shannon cut ties so harshly and so fast? That's where the story takes a wild turn, because not long after all this, something truly bizarre happened. On the 11th of September, 2024, Shannon accidentally went live on Instagram during what sounded like a private, intimate moment. Not a face cam, not a casual behind the scenes, just audio, raw, private, and, most importantly, straight out of nowhere. According to Shannon, it was all a mistake. He claimed his phone was thrown on the bed, and somehow Instagram Live turned itself on. A total accident. He said he didn't even know how to use the feature, but fans weren't buying it, because let's be real, going live on IG isn't something that just happens. You have to open the app, swipe right, swipe again, hit the live button, and confirm. That's not a pocket dial. That's a sequence. Shannon tried to get ahead of the backlash. He tweeted that his account was hacked, then walked it back on his show. It wasn't a prank, he admitted. It was me being a healthy, active male. He said he was embarrassed, that he's a private person and never meant for any of this to be public. But to the internet, it felt staged, like a PR move to kill the gay rumors, like an orchestrated scandal designed to show the world he was straight and active. And guess who wasn't having it? Hollywood. Hollywood didn't go on a rant. He didn't scream from the rooftops. Instead, he got cryptic. On Instagram, he started posting stories with messages like, "You may see a little bit, but you won't see much. I'll tell you that." Another read, "The hardest thing I ever had to do is shut TF up." Each one was like a breadcrumb, leading followers to one conclusion. He knew something, but eventually, the breadcrumbs turned into bold statements. He called Shannon's accidental live completely impossible, laid out the steps needed to start a stream, and called it what it was, a lie. And then came the warning signs. A meme with the caption, "Don't push me." Another post with, "So much I want to say, but nah, I'll wait till the right time." To anyone paying attention, it was obvious. Hollywood wasn't just hinting at drama, he was promising it. Hollywood didn't need to scream to get his point across. His timing did the heavy lifting. He knew the exact buttons to push, and each post was a quiet threat that screamed louder than any interview ever could. And the tension? It kept building, because when someone knows the truth and starts teasing it piece by piece, the public eats it up. Especially when the person they're calling out is someone like Shannon Sharpe. See, Hollywood's not new to this game. He's the same man who once outed another NFL player, Kerry Rhodes, for being in the closet. So when he started dropping cryptic warnings, fans knew better than to shrug it off. They took it seriously. Because if anyone had the receipts to back it all up, it was Hollywood. But here's where things started getting even messier. Hollywood didn't just get pushed out of Shannon's life, he got pushed out of everywhere. And when you follow the trail, the next chapter starts with a name we've all heard before, Bravo. According to multiple sources, Bravo was actively trying to cast Hollywood in a full-time role on a reality show. It wasn't just a rumor, there were actual talks. This could have been a new lane for Hollywood, a comeback, a spotlight of his own. But just when the opportunity started heating up, something, or someone, slammed on the brakes. Hollywood's team claimed Shannon Sharpe was behind it, that he was trying to block the deal. Why? Because Shannon was scared of what might come out if Hollywood got a national platform. Not just scared of drama, scared of exposure. Because when you put someone like Hollywood on reality television, especially someone who feels wronged and silenced, it's only a matter of time before the filter slips. That's when the accusations shifted from emotional to tactical.
If you don't want people to know your business, then you just don't speak on it. Now, you're not gonna make me look like a damn fool. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big of a star you are. You're not about to make me look like a fool.
This wasn't just about Shannon firing his stylist. It was about blackballing him, about deliberately blocking opportunities to keep him quiet, to keep him broke, to make sure he couldn't speak even if he wanted to. And here's where it gets especially dark. Some fans believe the reason Hollywood never dropped the full story, never aired everything out, was because Shannon succeeded, that he silenced him. That behind the scenes, Shannon made calls, pulled strings, and shut every door in Hollywood's face until he had no choice but to fall back. But the story doesn't stop with the stylist, because just when you think Shannon's plate was full, another scandal came crashing down on him. This time with legal consequences. A woman, identified only as Jane Doe, filed a lawsuit against Shannon, alleging deeply disturbing behavior during what began as a consensual relationship. It wasn't just another he said, she said. This lawsuit came with audio, texts, and a full narrative. The lawsuit pulled no punches. Jane Doe accused Shannon Sharpe of not just manipulation and control, but threats, emotional abuse, and violence. According to her, things started consensually. They met at a gym in Los Angeles back in 2023, and what began as a typical romantic relationship quickly spiraled into something darker. She claimed Shannon recorded their private moments without her consent and even shared those recordings with others. It didn't end there. The accusations included a violent incident in October 2024 and another in January 2025. In her words, Shannon threatened to choke her, slap her, and even made death threats. And with a lawyer like Tony Buzbee, who's represented women in several high-profile assault cases, this wasn't going to be swept under the rug quietly. Shannon's team, of course, fought back hard. His legal counsel argued that everything between Shannon and Jane Doe had been consensual and that their relationship involved role play and fantasy scenarios initiated by her. To defend himself, Shannon even released a video statement, public, direct, and carefully worded. He said, "I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right." But Jane Doe's team wasn't going to let him control the story. They released messages and an audio recording allegedly featuring Shannon telling the woman, "If you say that one more time, I'm going to choke the fass out of you when I see you." Whether the public believes it was role play or a real threat, one thing was clear: this wasn't going away anytime soon.
I'm going to be open, transparent, and defend myself because this isn't right.
In response to a Nevada civil lawsuit filed by a woman who says her consensual relationship with Sharpe eventually led to multiple assaults. The lawsuit also accuses Sharpe of secretly recording their sexual encounters without her consent. The plaintiff, listed as Jane Doe, is represented by attorney Tony Buzbee, who has represented accusers in several high-profile sexual assault cases, and who Sharpe called out by name.
Tony Buzbee targets black men, and I believe he's going to release a 30-second clip of a that tries to make me look guilty and play into every stereotype you could possibly imagine. That video should actually be 10 minutes or so. Hey Tony, instead of releasing your edit, put the whole video out. I don't have it, or I would myself.
Also new today, Jane Doe's attorney releasing an audio clip alleging it shows Sharpe threatening the plaintiff.
I'm not going to hang up on you. Here's what it is.
The plaintiff says, "Don't manipulate me." Then Sharpe allegedly responds,
Oh, Lord have mercy. If you sit that one more time, I'm going to choke the shit out of you with us.
As more texts surfaced, Shannon's side pushed back by highlighting messages where Jane Doe seemed to initiate graphic fantasies, like asking him to put a collar on her. But her legal team made one thing clear. Those texts were dated before the alleged incidents. They weren't a defense. They were a distraction. In their view, Shannon's team was releasing curated messages to sway public opinion and take heat off the actual allegations. And with $50 million and a public reputation hanging in the balance, Shannon had every reason to fight tooth and nail. But for fans watching it all unfold, it started to feel familiar. The defensive tone, the selective information, the public damage control, the desire to get ahead of the story. It was the same playbook people believe he used with Hollywood. And now, it was happening all over again. Shannon's attorney, Lanny Davis, doubled down, claiming the evidence paints a picture of a consensual adult relationship and that the allegations were false. But at this point, the internet had seen too much. Between the Stylist drama and the lawsuit, Shannon's carefully curated image was unraveling fast. Then came the ESPN bombshell. As the lawsuit gained steam and public pressure mounted, Shannon made a move that surprised even his most loyal fans. He released a statement saying he would temporarily step away from his ESPN duties. His reasoning? To focus on his family and to address what he called false and disruptive allegations. He said he planned to return by the start of the NFL preseason. But no one missed the timing. This wasn't a step back. It was damage control, a strategic retreat to stop the bleeding. Because when a $50 million lawsuit hits, while you're already under fire for rumors, IG Live scandals, and a stylist threatening to expose you, every move becomes a calculated PR play. And fans noticed. The whole thing felt scripted, Like Shannon was trying to look like the victim of a smear campaign, even though receipts were stacking up from multiple directions. First, Hollywood. Now, Jane Doe. Two very different people, two very different relationships, but one consistent thread, the accusation that Shannon was trying to silence them both. The public started to connect the dots. Suddenly, it wasn't just about one situation. It was about a pattern of manipulation, erasure, and control. Fire someone? Discredit them. Get hit with a lawsuit? Drop curated messages to discredit your accuser. And when the heat gets too high, step away from the spotlight just long enough to cool things off. But here's the twist. This time, the playbook wasn't working. Too many people had seen behind the curtain. The accidental IG Live stunt didn't kill the rumors. If anything, it made them louder. And Hollywood's posts, even without dropping the full story, kept people guessing. Every meme, every vague caption, every eyebrow-raising statement was like fuel to the fire, and the fire was spreading.
But according to Hollywood's team, his ex-stylist, he's been asked to do Love and Hip Hop, I believe. That Bravo. It's not Love and Hip Hop. Bravo, not Love and Hip Hop. Bravo has been trying to get Hollywood to come on a reality show as a full-time cast member. Hollywood is Shannon's ex-stylist that he took to football games, basketball games, sat courtside, bought him chains and everything, just really laid him out, okay? And however, according to the team, Shannon is trying to stop it because he thinks things will come out about him.
Media outlets weren't holding back either. Sites like Media Takeout and The Shade Room were covering every update. YouTubers were breaking down every post. And on Twitter, Shannon's name trended alongside words like blackmail, lawsuit, and manipulation. Even fans who once defended him began to question everything. Because when too many people in totally different situations start painting similar pictures of control and silencing, it gets hard to chalk it all up to coincidence. And Shannon? He was running out of ways to dodge it. His attempts to frame everything as misunderstandings or fake accusations were losing steam, especially since the audio clip allegedly showing him making threats started circulating. Regardless of whether it was role play or not, the optics were bad, really bad. Worse still, his critics began pointing out that Shannon always had a public image built on strength, logic, and calm authority. He was the guy who debated without losing his cool, the guy who never let Skip Bayless rattle him. But now, his carefully built image was cracking, and what was underneath didn't look like control. It looked like desperation. With everything collapsing around him, Shannon started leaning into a familiar strategy: blame the system, blame the narrative, and position himself as the victim of an orchestrated takedown. In his video response to the lawsuit, he didn't just deny the allegations. He pointed fingers at Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, claiming that Busby targets black men and was trying to make Shannon look guilty by editing video clips out of context. Shannon insisted the full video would clear his name, but he also admitted he didn't have it. Only Busby did. That statement alone set off alarms. If the full video really proved his innocence, why wasn't it released? Why only the teaser? And why did Shannon, a man known for his strategic media control, seem to be losing grip on the situation now? Then came the next layer. While Shannon fought to reclaim his image, more people began revisiting the earlier situation with Hollywood, connecting dots they hadn't seen before. Like how Hollywood's reality television opportunity with Bravo mysteriously got shelved, or how he'd been quietly pushed out of industry events after being dropped by Shannon. The claim that Shannon had interfered with Hollywood's career was no longer just gossip. It was starting to look like a campaign, one aimed at burying someone who had too much information and might be ready to talk. Because here's the thing, it wasn't just about stylists or lawsuits anymore. It was about control. Multiple sources told Tasha K that Shannon allegedly made calls behind the scenes to block Hollywood's television deal, that he viewed the potential Bravo appearance as a liability, something that could reopen the floodgates, especially if Hollywood decided to finally speak freely. And for someone like Shannon, who'd spent years building a brand on charisma, strength, and respect, one interview from an angry ex-stylist could wreck all of it. So, instead of waiting for the bomb to drop, Shannon, allegedly, tried to defuse it before it ever went live.
And I get it. My stylist, Hollywood, he was gay. Okay, that's his life. That's not mine. Mm-hmm. Hollywood no longer styles me. Why? Because I'm loyal to Shelley. She was hurt that after 20 plus years of being my stylist, that I had gone outside to hire someone else. And someone else was getting the credit when she was there at CBS. She was there when I started at Fox. She was there when I was going out and doing red carpet events, and I never had a problem. And for me, in my head, I thought I needed someone outside.
Right.
I didn't buy one thing new when Hollywood started styling me. Everything, all those LB jackets, all that stuff that I already had it. And a lot of the stuff she had already put together, but I took it apart. So when he put it back together, it was just what she had put together. And I told him, I said, Hollywood, I said, bro, I think you did an unbelievable job. I said, but I'm gonna go back to Shelley because it's hurting her.
Hollywood, meanwhile, stayed in that shadowy in-between. He hadn't given a tell-all, but he hadn't disappeared either. He was watching, dropping hints, liking tweets, posting cryptic IG stories, and the public could feel it. He was holding back, but barely. Some fans believe the only reason Hollywood hasn't told his full story is because Shannon successfully blackballed him into silence, not with money, but with pressure, with isolation, with threats that, if he talks, his career is over. And if that's true, then this isn't just a case of celebrity gossip. It's a full-blown power play. And if history repeats itself, the truth won't stay buried for long. Meanwhile, as Shannon's legal team scrambled to contain the damage, the court of public opinion was already delivering its verdict. Reddit threads, Twitter feeds, and YouTube breakdowns all came to the same conclusion. This wasn't just a man in trouble. This was a man trying to outrun his past and failing. By this point, even Shannon's most calculated PR efforts weren't enough to keep the narrative from spiraling. Every move he made was being dissected in real time, every statement analyzed, every slip magnified. And with both Hollywood and Jane Doe hanging over him like ticking time bombs, the public had stopped giving him the benefit of the doubt. But what really nailed Shannon's public image wasn't the accusations alone, it was the pattern of cover-ups. The Stylist situation had one goal: discredit Hollywood before he could speak. But it backfired. People remembered the praise, the videos, the courtside seats. You don't just erase someone who was that visible. Then came the accidental IG Live, which, let's be honest, no one really believed. If anything, it looked like a last-ditch stunt to present a version of himself the public hadn't seen recently. Active, straight, and in control. But when that failed to work, the focus shifted. Jane Doe's case brought a far more serious threat: criminal-level consequences. And here, Shannon couldn't use memes or passive-aggressive tweets to rewrite the narrative. The evidence being presented? Texts, audio, a paper trail, not rumors, receipts. Yet despite all that, Shannon continued trying to steer the ship. He positioned the entire thing as a smear campaign, called it a media trap, claimed he was being framed, even suggested that Jane Doe's story was part of a broader conspiracy to tear down powerful black men. And while some fans echoed those claims, others weren't convinced, because this wasn't just about one person anymore. From Shannon allegedly blackballing Hollywood, to his hostile reaction to Mike Epps' joke, to his shaky response to Jane Doe, everything felt reactive. Not like a man wrongfully accused, like a man who'd spent years trying to stay 2 steps ahead of a secret and was finally running out of room. And here's what made it even worse. Shannon kept contradicting himself. He claimed not to care what people said about his sexuality, but threatened to leak DMs the moment someone joked about it. He claimed Hollywood didn't style him, but there's video of him gassing the man up like a hype squad. He claimed Jane Doe's messages proved consent, but those texts were from before.
The streets, when the streets are talking, where there's smoke, there's fire. Definitely think Shannon Sharpe. And it's just like, you know, I've been around a lot of heterosexual men, and comfortable heterosexual men don't need to always defend their heterosexualness. Shannon Sharpe is always upset when somebody's saying that he's gay.
The inconsistencies were stacking up, and the public was paying attention. Even Shannon's career, once ironclad, began to look shaky. With ESPN on hold and his public image in freefall, brands and media platforms were suddenly cautious. This wasn't the unshakable Shannon Sharpe from Undisputed. This was a man whose name now came with disclaimers. And through all of this, Hollywood stayed quiet, but present, watching, waiting. the kind of silence that doesn't mean peace, it means preparation. And that scared people more than any headline ever could. Because deep down, fans knew if Hollywood ever decides to speak up, if the full truth ever comes out, it won't just damage Shannon's career, it could end it. At this point, the situation was less about scandal and more about survival. Shannon Sharpe wasn't just fending off accusations, he was fighting to protect a brand that took decades to build. The clean-cut NFL legend, the articulate debater, the sharp-dressed analyst who clapped back with confidence and calm. That image? It was collapsing under the weight of something far more chaotic, his own history catching up to him. And while Shannon was dealing with legal landmines and reputation rehab, the internet was doing what it does best, piecing the puzzle together in real time. Fans started creating timelines, lining up Hollywood's cryptic posts with Shannon's public missteps, comparing dates of alleged incidents, matching Shannon's IG Live accident with suspicious posts from both accusers. It was no longer just a he said, she said, it was a community investigation. Meanwhile, Hollywood's role in all of this started to look even more pivotal because he wasn't playing by the usual rules. He wasn't rushing to TMZ for an exclusive. He wasn't dropping a tell-all YouTube video. He was hinting, suggesting, letting fans connect the dots while he stayed just enough in the shadows to build suspense. And whether intentional or not, that silence made everything feel more real, more ominous, because when someone has nothing to say, it's easy to ignore them. But when they say just enough, when they tease truth like a ticking time bomb, that's when people get nervous, especially the person who knows what might be revealed. Behind the scenes, there were whispers that Shannon still had eyes on Hollywood's moves, that he was watching, monitoring, maybe even interfering. Again, because the risk wasn't just Hollywood telling his side, it was what Hollywood might prove, with messages, photos, DMs, audio, anything that could pull back the curtain even further. And then there was the lawsuit. While Shannon's lawyers kept pushing the narrative of a consensual fantasy-based relationship, Jane Doe's team was going in for the kill. They wanted everything exposed. Not just what happened behind closed doors, but how Shannon allegedly used power and influence to silence and intimidate. And as more details surfaced, texts, threats, private recordings, the case started gaining traction not just legally, but culturally. Because this wasn't just about Shannon anymore. It was about the pattern, about how many powerful men control the narrative by discrediting, manipulating, and erasing the people who know too much. It was about the stylists who get thrown away, the accusers who get mocked, and the fans who are told to just move on. And that's why this story wouldn't die, because too many people saw themselves in it. The loyal friend cast aside, the woman accused of lying for clout, the public figure trying to dodge consequences behind charm and PR. For Shannon, walking away from ESPN wasn't enough. Staying quiet wasn't enough. Because now, the damage was done. The people who used to root for him started pulling away. The brands that once aligned with him began holding meetings. His story, his version, was no longer the only one being told. And still, Hollywood hadn't said a word. Not officially. Just memes. Just, don't push me. Just, I'll wait till the right time. And the public, they're still waiting. Because whether it's tomorrow, next month, or never, if that silence breaks, Shannon Sharpe's legacy may never recover. If you enjoyed watching, you're not going to want to miss what comes next. So don't forget to like and subscribe.